Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the news you missed on Monday, the 20th of October, 2025. It's been a little bit of an interesting weekend. We've got stories like the crown jewels being stolen, maybe one of Trump's peace deals being broken. We've also got former presidents being stuck in solitary confinement. But that's not all. So let's dive into the news and find out where we're heading to. Former French President Nicolas Sarkozy is set to serve his prison sentence in solitary confinement. According to French media, the 70-year-old was sentenced to 5 years for allegedly taking illegal campaign funds from Libya's late leader Muammar Gaddafi during his 2007 election bid. Sarkozy has called the ruling an injustice and continues to deny all charges. He'll be held in a small cell at Paris's La Santé prison, making him the first former French and EU leader in modern history to serve actual jail time. Breaking news from Paris. On October the 19th, the Louvre Museum was forced to close after a daring early morning robbery. According to France's culture minister, thieves stole 9 pieces of priceless jewellery linked to Napoleon and Empress Eugenie. Reports say the criminals entered through a construction area, used a freight elevator, and completed the heist in just 7 minutes. No one was hurt, and police have launched an investigation. The good news, the world-famous Regent Diamond remains untouched. It's the Louvre's first major theft in decades, and authorities are now racing to track down the stolen treasures. China has accused the US National Security Agency of conducting a major multi-year cyber attack on its National Time Service Center, the agency responsible for Beijing time. According to China's Ministry of State Security, the NSA began infiltrating the center in 2022, targeting sensitive data and critical systems that affect finance, energy, and defense. The ministry claims the operation used stolen passwords, multiple cyber tools, and servers around the world to cover its tracks. Beijing says this shows reckless US cyber activity, part of a long-running pattern of digital confrontations between the two powers. US President Donald Trump has released footage showing the US Navy destroying a submarine in the Caribbean, allegedly carrying a large shipment of drugs. Trump described the vessel as a very large drug-carrying submarine, loaded with fentanyl and other narcotics. The strike killed 2 of the 4 crew members, while the 2 survivors are being returned to Ecuador and Colombia for prosecution. This comes amid ongoing US operations against suspected narcotic smuggling in the region and escalating tensions with Venezuela, which Washington accuses of aiding narco-terrorists. Also, across the United States on Saturday, thousands took part in No Kings protests against President Donald Trump. Rallies were held in cities including Washington, New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Miami, and Austin, with over 2,700 events planned nationwide. Demonstrators accused Trump of abusing his power, opposing his immigration policies, and criticizing his use of the National Guard, carrying signs that read "No Kings, No Oligarchs." Organisers stressed that America does not have kings and vowed to stand against what they call chaos, corruption and cruelty. What a ridiculous thing they were doing over the weekend. So Trump actually wanting to make the borders safer, your cities safer, and they think that he's acting like a king. Do you know what? I think you could give these people $1 billion and they would still say they were poor. Absolute bonkers people out there, honestly. On October the 19th, Israel launched large-scale airstrikes across Gaza, saying they were in response to what it called a blatant ceasefire violation by Hamas. The IDF claims it hit dozens of Hamas targets, including weapon sites and tunnels, using over 120 munitions. Hamas denies breaking the truce, accusing Israel of reigniting the conflict. At least 44 people in Gaza have been reportedly killed. This marks the first major escalation since the ceasefire agreement brokered earlier this month, raising fears that fragile peace could collapse once again. I'm shocked. I didn't think Hamas had any sites left. I thought Israel had blown them all up, looking at the state of the levelling in the cities. But who knows? This is a strange one because Trump brokered this peace deal and Israel has broken it. Also in Israel, its longest serving Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, has announced he will seek another term in the November 2026 parliamentary elections. Netanyahu, who returned to office in 2022, has faced both criticism and praise for his handling of judicial reforms, the Hamas hostage crisis, and the Gaza conflict. He says he is the only person capable of keeping Israel safe and highlights his close ties with US President Trump. Recent polls suggest his party remains the strongest in the Knesset, positioning him as the leader contending for re-election. The Tel Aviv football derby between Hapoel and Maccabi has been cancelled after violent riots at Bloomfield Stadium. Israeli police say 13 civilians and 3 officers were injured by smoke grenades and pyrotechnics, and 9 people were arrested. Hapoel Tel Aviv, however, accused police of brutal violence against fans, saying officers trampled children and beat supporters. Maccabi confirmed the match will not go ahead, while authorities continue to assess safety for future games. Tragedy at Hong Kong International Airport early Monday as a cargo plane pushed a patrol car into the sea, killing 2 airport security staff. The Emirates flight EK9788, operated by Turkish cargo airline Air ACT, veered off the north runway around 3:50 am, broke through the airport fence and collided with the vehicle. Both security personnel aged 30 and 41 died. The Boeing 747, over 30 years old and converted from passenger service, broke in half, but all 4 crew members were rescued and are safe. Authorities say weather conditions were normal and investigations are ongoing. This marks only the 2nd fatal incident at Hong Kong, the world's busiest cargo airport, handling nearly 5 million tons of freight last year. Colombian President Gustavo Petro has accused the US of killing an innocent fisherman during a Caribbean boat strike. The incident on September the 16th targeted what the US called a drug smuggling vessel, but Petro says the man, Alejandro Carranza, was a lifelong fisherman with no links to trafficking. He claims the boat was drifting after engine failure and sent a distress signal, calling the strike a violation of Colombia's sovereignty. The US says it destroyed the vessel as part of efforts against narcotics trafficking, leaving tensions high between the 2 countries. And my final piece of news, the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, has warned the Brexit deal did a number on the UK economy. Long-term damage. She says, like leaving your car in a hedge overnight. Speaking at the IMF, she said productivity took a 4% hit. Basically, Britain's economic engine now splutters like a lawnmower on empty. Reeves is using this argument to justify upcoming tax rises while the government juggles Brexit resets and trade talks, hoping to patch things up before the budget. In short, Brexit may have freed the UK to trade globally, but apparently not from a standing start. What a pile of rubbish. If in doubt, when you're failing, blame it on Brexit. She hasn't got a clue how to run our economy, and we can see it day after day. Honestly, if you're in the UK now and you believe what she said, you must be living under a rock. And now we are heading over to our newest segment, the Financial Funnies, where we try to entertain you while also getting you the information of what's going on out there that affects the price of a loaf of bread. So let's dive into our first story. China's economy grew 4.8% in the 3rd quarter, slower than last quarter, but still in line with expectations. The twist: investment, including real estate, took a rare dive, making economists nervous and anyone with a condo feel slightly guilty. Industrial production, meanwhile, is buzzing along at 6.5%. So factories are still working harder than your Wi-Fi on a Monday morning. Retail sales are modest, unemployment steady, and interest rates unchanged. Basically, China's economy is like a treadmill, moving but not exactly breaking any speed records. Crypto fans, hold on to your digital wallets. Analyst Versen Allegra is warning XRP holders to protect their coins or risk leaving their future in someone else's hands. After a $19 billion wipeout in October, Allegra recommends self-custody using cold wallets. Yes, 8 of them for maximum security. XRP is up slightly and some indicators suggest a rebound might be coming. So maybe now's the time to hodl, or at least make sure your crypto isn't hiding under your mattress. Oh, and with over 317,000 wallets holding 10,000 coins or more, XRP is officially popular enough to have its own VIP club. This week, global finance has been on edge, with a gilded US Treasury, anxious bankers, and the world watching as the US and China play tariff ping pong. In Washington's ornate cash room, officials warn that China's rare earth export controls are a chokehold on the world, while US tech stocks and AI bubbles continue to stir uncertainty. Observers say it resembles a high stakes game of pool. Balls flying everywhere, cues breaking, and the table teetering on the edge. Yet the global economy keeps moving. With tariffs, counter-tariffs, and even the rise of AI chatbots, 2025 has become a dramatic and sometimes absurd year for international finance. And my final story, the UK's unemployment rate increased to 4.8% in June to August 2025. But don't worry, it's still lower than a lot of other countries. It's like being the tallest dwarf at the circus. Well, that's all your news on Monday, the 20th of October 2025. Thanks for joining us. And if you want to find out what's really going on, the things that affect the news, head over to charlieward.com. Sign up for the Insiders Club. We're live every Wednesday and Saturday, where you can join in, ask questions to our guests, and find out what's really going on out there in the world. So all that's left for me to say is to take care, God bless, and see you all soon. Bye now.